Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. James here. I've had a viewer request for some more content on my riding mowers, specifically the LA140, which is more or less exactly the same as the L120. So I'm going to pull the mower deck off, give it a pressure wash, and service it with some grease. We're about halfway through the season. It's time anyway. It's going to be fun. Stick around. Let's do it. Alright, so L120 John Deere riding mower, LA140. As I said, had a request for somebody wanted some more content on this guy. They're virtually the same mowers, very few differences between these two machines. You've got, a slightly different hood, a little different design for cooling at the top here. There's not a lot of difference. The mower decks are virtually the same. One of them has metal covering the belts. This guy here has plastic. The LA140 has the port that you can hook up the garden hose to, so that you can clean it out, or maybe it thinks it's going to clean it out, but it doesn't do a very good job, I don't find. Maybe that's just because my property's wet. So yeah, what I want to do today, because like it or not guys, summer's 50% gone, so I like to service these things halfway through the summertime. Pull the mower decks right off, get rid of as much of the dry debris as I can, give them a quick pressure wash, not so much so that I'm blasting pressurized water into all of the bearings and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get crazy. Just want to get the debris away. And then I'm going to take those plastic shrouds off and the metal shrouds off the 120 if I haven't already done so for the pressure washing, just because it makes it a lot easier to get the grease gun into those spindles. We're going to give them a quick grease. At that point, I may even give these lawnmowers a bath. They're pretty grubby. Maybe get the kids out here to give me a hand, but they're probably not going to be too interested in that. And then we'll put the mower decks back on, and that'll probably be a good little video for us. So, mower decks. Let's get these mower decks off. So we'll start with the 140, I guess. First thing I like to do, lower the mower deck. Get this thing on to the ground. You don't want the mower deck to be hanging from the underside of the tractor. You also don't want the mower deck to be pushing up on the tractor. So you need to find a position with this handle here where it's just neutral. That'll make sure that a lot of the connecting mechanisms underneath are more or less in the neutral position. Pretty straightforward getting these things off. You're just pulling pins and removing little hanger brackets and that kind of stuff. Put all my fittings on the seat of the tractor so I don't lose them. So there's one pin that needs to be pulled at the back here, and it comes from the factory, I believe, with a nice big washer as well. And then there's another linkage that goes from the mower deck more forward. You pull that pin too. There may or may not be a washer, I'm not sure. Probably supposed to have a washer, but they're long gone on my machines. I did get both of these machines for free, by the way. So if you're looking at the condition of them and gonna judge me, be kind. I'm doing my best to get them back. That's a tricky one. There we go. So after you have the lower arm released and the upright released, I like to slide the mower forward a little bit if I can. Takes the pressure off of the forward connection. And then your fifth pin here. Oh, look at that. I've actually lost a pin on this. There's nothing holding that front one in place. Boy, I'm lucky I didn't do any damage. We'll have to get ourselves a new pin when we put this back together. Alright, what am I missing here? Oh, I pulled the pin on this one, but I didn't actually release it. There we go. So that's the arm. Now it should slide forward a little easier. You can drop the belt down off of the clutch here. It's where the crankshaft of the engine comes straight down, and there's a pulley underneath here where the belt wraps around. And that's it. This is ready to be slid out. So we'll pull it this way. In theory. There we go. And you can see just how much stuff accumulates on the top of these mower decks. All this kind of stuff, when it's dry, not that big a deal. But when it gets wet, it really expedites the corrosion process of these mower decks. And this mower deck, if you're not a regular follower of my channel, has been refurbished, I guess, for lack of a better term. I wire wheeled it right down pretty much to bare metal and put a couple coats of John Deere yellow trim clad rust paint on here. It seems to be holding up pretty good. No complaints. So I'm going to take these plastic covers off. It's a mixture of a regular bolt here and some stainless steel screws with a Phillips head. So I'll go grab some tools and we'll do that. Now I think that these are probably 5/8, but I'm guessing. We have a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's probably one of the original fasteners that holds this cover on. They must have rusted through at some point and been replaced. But these appear to be stainless, so that's nice. 1, 2, 3 fasteners there. I mean, these things do a great job of protecting the user and others from the rotation of the belt when the tractor is in use, but really all they are is a catch-all for debris. Look at that. Compressed air probably to blow this stuff out at the end of cutting grass, but it's just not something I'm organized to do every time, but I'm sure it would help. Alright, we'll put these fasteners on the seat as well. And there's just 2 fasteners holding this one on. More stuff all packed in there. I like to take this belt and you can just stretch it around around that clip right there. I know that this belt is getting stretched because normally when I do this, it's quite difficult to get this to hook over here. So something's going on. Either something's not pivoting well or the belt is getting stretched. It looks like the belt is stretched because that bracket is sitting right back against its stop. So I will be looking at ordering one of these, and then that'll be some more LA140 content for those of you that are interested. But yeah, anyway, you hook that over there and it keeps the belt in the position that it needs to be, because you'd be scratching your head maybe trying to put that back in the right place if it falls off. Alright, I'm going to get the pressure washer over here and we'll give this a quick clean. The underside doesn't look too terrible, but there are some chunks. We'll do the top side first, and then we'll flip it over. We'll do the bottom side, and then probably just do the top side quickly again, just to remove any of the last debris. All right, so this guy here is a Kodiak Q 4.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton pressure washer. It's about 15 years old. It's been really great, honestly. The only thing I've ever done is regular maintenance to me, so oil changes and also changing the pump oil. With most of my equipment, I print something with my label maker here just to let me know. So 5 or 10 W30, and it takes 0.13 liters of SAE30 non-detergent oil for the pump. Quick reference, right? Alright, the only time you're ever going to see me more interested in the condition that I leave the underside of that mower deck is when I'm preparing these machines to put them away at the end of the season. As soon as I mow the grass again, this is going to just be full of junk. So that's good enough, but you can tell how much stuff gets stuck on there on this property, eh? I have a property that's quite wet, and the opportunities to mow when it's dry, they're just not there. So I end up having to mow when the grass is wet, which is not ideal, I know that, but what else are you going to do? I would rather have a little bit more preventative maintenance on my mower deck and have my grass looking good than just wait until it looks like a hay field in order to cut it. If you have seen the previous video that I did when I refurbished this, and I can put a link up to that if I haven't already, remember what it looked like, how nice it looked? Well, you can see a lot of the paint's already coming off, so you know, either the surface preparation wasn't good enough or it was the wrong product to use on the underside of that. Either way, it is what it is. Hard to be too concerned about what it looks like under there, given what's happening underneath this mower deck when you're actually mowing. It's a pretty hazardous, pretty extreme location to try to keep the paint on. So we'll flip this thing back over and check to see if any grass made it to the other side while I did that. Then we'll pump some grease into it. This is also a good time to look at the bottom of these spindles. Double check to make sure you don't have any bits of string or any debris wrapped around there that's going to be making this machine work any harder than it needs to. These all appear to be sounding the same, and that one sounds a little raunchy actually. That one sounds okay. This one has, I don't know what you'd call that, slop in it for whatever reason. All right, let's get some grease. Okay, so I will incorporate some still photography up on the screen regarding these the locations of these grease nipples and that sort of thing, just so you can see. There's one grease nipple on each spindle. Sometimes they're hard to get to. I did replace a few of these grease nipples with grease nipples that have a bit of an angle on them. Made it a little bit easier. Ideally, if I had unlimited resources, well, first of all, I would probably have somebody else cut my grass and then it wouldn't be my problem. But it would be really, really neat if these grease nipples could be extended. You could just have like a little plate on the side of the mower deck here with 3 holes drilled in it, and you could run flexible lines to there and have remote greasing on this machine. It would be really great to not have to remove this in order to do it. But I mean, pulling it out and taking the opportunity to get all of the debris off the top of the mower deck is not the end of the world either. It's good to do. All right, let's put some grease in. do like to watch the bottom, just so I can see when the grease appears. It's probably going to take a lot. You can see some water being pushed out right now, some dirty grease, and then it turns to clean grease. Hang on to her. Roll it forward a bit. So that's enough for that spindle. On to the middle one. There's your moisture. There's your dirty grease. There's your clean grease. You could probably just pump until you start to see the dirty grease come out, but I like to push some of that dirty grease out. I'm using a lock and lube fitting on this grease gun too, which to get it to actually fit onto the fitting can be problematic, but once it's on there, there's nothing better for greasing. Get yourself a lock and lube adapter if you don't have one. Especially now that I have the excavator and there's like 50 grease nipples on that thing that have to be done every 10 hours. This one's taking a lot, which means it might be going somewhere else that I don't see. No, it's going into the spindle. Oh, there we go. Spindle's moving. Stopped moving. There's the moisture. Dirty grease. Clean grease. It's also helpful to have a kind of grease in your gun. I use EP2, which is extreme pressure grease. Get something that's not dirty looking when it's new. Never understand that about grease. You know, you pump it out and it looks dirty, just like the stuff that's coming out. Try to get something that's blue or red or orange, so that when you are putting grease in your equipment and it starts to come out clean, you can see that it's a different color. You know you can stop pumping. So that's good there. I'm happy. I'm not even going to pressure wash the top of that off anymore. It's going to be fine. I'm going to put the 2 protective covers back on the belts. We'll put it back under the tractor, and that'll be it for that machine. You don't have to get the old grease off, but if you don't, it's going to go somewhere. Either on the grass, it'll end up on the feet of your pets or on the feet of your kids, and it'll end up in the kitchen. Ask me how I know. So we'll do the same but backwards. These need to be forwards when you slide it under there. Oh, maybe I should put the covers on first. Who is yelling at their screen going, "James, you forgot"? All right, let's totally fight in real time to put this back in. First things first, slide it forward, get the belt on. And then hook your front bracket in. That's the one I need to get a new pin for. Get the pressure washer out of the way. One with a pin. Do the other side. Do the same bracket on the other side first. I've found that to be easiest. That's 2. And a pin. And then these brackets. and then a washer and a large clip, or a large hairpin, whatever you want to call these things. Well, that was not too bad, which means I totally must have done something wrong. Okay, I'm gonna go get a clip for that front bracket before I forget. All right, we have ourselves a pin. That might be easier to get at from the other side. Perfect. All right, let's fire this thing up. See what it sounds like. I've been having intermittent starting issues with this one as well, so let's see if it'll go. Listen for the squeak. Alrighty, that one is so much smoother. Let's tear into the mower deck on the L120. This mower deck is in terrible condition. As I said, these machines came to me for absolutely free. I know what needs to be done on them. It's not done yet. We're getting there. Okay, so we'll start with that neutral position I was talking about. Right around there. And then we'll just start pulling those pins. You see how that belt, it's a little more difficult to pull over the end of that tab. That's a newer belt, it's not stretched as much. So yeah, these are very similar mower decks. These are metal, and there's no spigot on the end here for your garden hose connection. So we'll do the same thing, clear it all off. Well, this one doesn't like to stand up as well as the other one. Let's put some grease into it. moisture, dirty grease, clean grease. Wow, they take a lot. I should almost do this quarterly in the summertime. I think I might need to replace the grease nipple on that one. Yep, I gotta put new grease nipples in both of those. That is not ideal. Can't remember what I did the last time I greased these. They both have grease nipples that come straight out, and I just cannot get that lock and lube fitting in there. Doesn't look like this grease nipple can be changed. Moisture, dirty grease, clean grease. I was able to get this one to take some oil. This other one, though, would be nice to get a new grease nipple in there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's kind of been mashed up a little bit. It's no good to have the grease nipple come directly out of the side of the spindle because you can't get the grease gun onto it. So let's see if I have one with an angle that I can switch that out with. If you have a lot of equipment on your property, it's worthwhile having a nice set of grease nipples. All right. There's one. Seems to be threading in okay. The trick is trying to get it to tighten down in a position that still allows you to get in there with the grease gun. Half the time you finally get them tightened down, they're pointing even worse than they were before. And I don't have the right wrench again. Classic. So there's what your spindle assembly looks like right there. Your mower will spin, and your pulley will be fastened onto here on the top of the mower deck. The blade's on the bottom, of course, and it spins like that. So when you're pumping when you're pumping grease into this thing, you're filling that cavity in there between the oil seals for lubrication, and they go dry a lot quicker than you'd think. Alright, this guy's got 469.2 hours on it, and this one does burn a bit of oil. How many hours are on this one? I may have to start it. 429.6. So they're fairly even. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot to that job, but as you saw with the grease nipple, the best of intentions can easily be railroaded when you're working on this kind of stuff. You never really know what is going to happen when you try to do an easy job. So John Deere 100 series lawn tractors, LA140 L120 mid-season servicing. That's the way I do it. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. There's all sorts of stuff like this that I'm going to be doing moving forward, and I would love to have you along for the ride. So thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next one.